Hey everyone, and welcome back to Rowing with the Homies. I'm Finlos. I hope you're finding some moments to get a little movement in today. Find your rhythm, find your focus, whatever that might look like. And as always, I'm genuinely glad you're choosing to spend this time with me. And lately, I've been feeling a particular kind of spark or inspiration, some excitement that comes from something really simple and at the same time something really complex in how it could be executed. And this is following up from my most recent episode of the Finlos Lives podcast. So these episodes kind of parallel one another. But what I'm talking about is the joy that comes with taking things apart and putting them back together in new ways, of experimenting without a clear end goal, just for the pleasure of that discovery. And that's the art of tinkering. And that's really what's been on my mind lately, filling my thoughts with that sort of buzz of excitement that comes with that process. But before we dig in, just remember that Rowing with the Homies connects what's happening out there in the world, whether it's a major news event, a big philosophical question, or a piece of media that makes us think, with what's happening right here within ourselves, in our bodies, and in our minds. We're finding the link between the external landscape and our own internal one. And today I'm going to dive into the world of tinkering as a form of healthy play, especially through the lens of something I've been immersing myself in, and that's making music, and specifically making music with analog synthesizers. And we're going to explore why this kind of playful exploration, whether that's with music or with art or with toys or Lego, or with just exploring and touching and smelling, that process of embracing the inner tinkerer, it's not just for fun, but it's a crucial tool for our mental well-being and healing, especially for adults. When we hear tinkering, we might picture someone in a garage with tools, fixing an old engine, or maybe a kid pulling apart a toy. That's where we get the name Tinker Toys. And yeah, those are sort of forms of tinkering. But I want to talk about tinkering in a broader sense as a basic human inclination toward playful, open-ended experimentation, because it's that testing, that process of figuring out how things work, that experimentation that is really at the heart of this. It involves curiosity, it involves exploration, and engaging with something just to see what happens without the pressure or expectation of predetermined outcomes, especially in the pursuit of perfection, because perfection is kind of antithetical to tinkering, I think. And in that regard, it's not about productivity. It's not about efficiency, though sometimes they can be happy byproducts of the process. This is really about the process itself, the iterative learning, the unexpected discoveries, the satisfaction of making something work in a new way, or even just understanding why it might not work. This form of healthy play is vital for our brains and even for our spirits. When we're playing, especially as children, we're often tinkering with ideas, with dynamics in how we interact with people, with the physical objects around us. We're building, dismantling, we're imagining, and we're rearranging. And that urge doesn't disappear when we become adults, but it often gets buried under responsibilities and the pressure to be, serious whatever that could mean. For me, this spirit of tinkering has found a particularly exciting outlet in the process of trying to compose music. I've always loved music, but recently I've dived headfirst into the world of synthesizers and sound generators. And if you're not familiar, a synthesizer is an electronic instrument that generates sound, but then it allows for incredible control over the timbre, pitch, and the texture. So you can take a very simple tone and modify it by looping it or echoing it or modifying its pitch or having it vibrate in this way or that way to create new and unexpected sounds. Another tool that I've been using to sort of work through the composition process is a sampler, which is a tool that records and plays back short snippets of sound. And that could be anything from a drum beat to a vocal phrase or to field recordings of birds or wind or anything. And then the sampler lets you manipulate and rearrange the samples to create new types of musical ideas like rhythms or melodies. And I have to tell you, working with these machines is such a fun form of tinkering with sound. And it's more than just playing notes on a keyboard, because that's there and it's definitely a foundational tool in knowing how to compose songs. But the fun for me is about sculpting the sounds themselves. You can start with something like an oscillator, and you take a raw waveform, a pitch, and put it through the oscillator and adjust how fast that oscillator opens up and closes. Or you can use a filter to brighten or darken the tone, or use an envelope to control how it starts and how it stops. All of these different knobs and sliders that you can physically manipulate if you're using a hardware synthesizer, which I'm trying to do. It's really cool. It's unexpected and it's surprising. And that process of experimenting to see how each tweak or patch cable or twist of a knob changes the sonic landscape. And it's a lot like being a mad scientist in a sound lab. With samplers, the tinkering proves more direct, because you take a piece of existing sound, something in the world, like a recording of another piece of music, a short snippet, or something out in nature, like birds, like I said, or the wind, or keys jingling, or tapping on a countertop. And then you chop it up and stretch it and pitch shift it and reverse it and layer it. And I'm taking that raw sonic material and reshaping it into something completely new. It's like bending and folding sounds until they fit together in a cohesive and expressive way. And that's really the exciting part, when you take these different types of sounds and find ways to make them work together. And this kind of sound manipulation and generation is deeply satisfying, because it taps into that urge to play and to build. And there's an immediate tactile feedback loop. I turn a knob and the sound changes. I load a sample and a whole new type of rhythmic possibility is there. It's a space where failure isn't really failure. It's just something unexpected that could potentially lead me down a completely different, equally exciting path. And it's a reminder that sometimes the most profound insights or the most beautiful creations come not from a rigid plan, but from the uninhibited act of tinkering. And this delight in playful experimentation, particularly with these sound machines, really gets me thinking about why this kind of engagement is so vital for our well-being. And that's why, beyond just being fun, this kind of playful engagement, open-ended exploration is so crucial, especially for adults, because engaging in healthy play represents a powerful tool for maintaining mental health and well-being, as well as a form of healing. In our adult lives, we're often conditioned to be goal-oriented, to be productive and efficient. Every action needs a purpose. Every measure of time needs to be accounted for. And we lose sight of the inherent value of activities done purely for the sake of enjoyment or discovery. But this constant pressure can lead to burnout, can lead to stress, and a sense of disconnection from ourselves. Play, especially tinkering, offers a potential counterbalance to that. First, tinkering provides a crucial outlet for stress relief and mental decompression. If I'm immersed in a playful activity like manipulating sounds, my mind can shift focus. The constant chatter of concerns and worries and deadlines and responsibilities quiet down, and I enter a state of flow where time loses its significance and my attention is allowed to be fully absorbed in a single thing, a single task. And this flow state has been extensively studied and is known to reduce anxiety, to improve mood, and to foster a sense of contentment. It's a chance to step away from the demands of reality and simply be in the moment of creation or exploration. And it makes me think of the Pixar movie Soul, when the main character tinkers on his piano and creates free-form song. He enters that flow state. Second, tinkering fosters creativity and problem-solving skills. When I'm playing with a synthesizer, I'm constantly encountering tiny mini challenges. How might I make this sound warmer? How might I create a rhythmic texture? What if I combine these two separate sounds that are completely different? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just experimentation. And these low stakes decisions encourages innovative thinking. It helps to foster resilience in the face of unexpected results and the ability to think outside the box. And these are skills that transfer directly to other areas of our lives, helping us approach real-world problems with a more flexible and imaginative mindset. And third, and perhaps most significantly, engaging in tinkering and play, especially without a specific outcome in mind, reclaims a sense of autonomy and self-expression. As adults, much of our lives are dictated by external demands, and play is one of the few areas where we have complete control, where we can explore our desires without judgment. And this sense of agency, being the driver of our own creative processes, proves incredibly empowering. It allows for authentic self-expression, helping us to connect with our inner selves, to discover new facets of our personality, and to feel truly alive and engaged. For individuals navigating the complexities of mental health challenges like depression, or anxiety, the act of tinkering can be particularly therapeutic. It provides a structured yet open-ended activity that can combat feelings of hopelessness or apathy. It offers a tangible way to create, to exert control, and to experience small wins, even when larger life circumstances feel overwhelming. The process of building something, whether it's a new sound, a gadget, a garden bed, it creates a sense of accomplishment or purpose. It redirects focus away from negative rumination and towards active engagement with the world. Play and tinkering can be a form of non-communication and emotional processing also. Sometimes it's hard to articulate what we're feeling, but through the act of creating or manipulating or experimenting, we can externalize internal states. These can be reflections of our internal landscapes, allowing for a form of emotional release and understanding that words sometimes can't provide. This forms a different language for our inner world. Sometimes even moving beyond the difficulties that we face as we try to decode or encode the meaning with our words to express things that have no true way to express with language. And in a world that constantly demands performance and perfection, the freedom to tinker, to make mistakes, to follow tangents, and to simply enjoy the process stands as an act of self-care. We give ourselves permission to be curious, to be messy, and to discover. It reminds us that our value isn't solely tied to what we produce, but also to how we engage with the world, how we learn, how we play. And understanding this therapeutic power of play and tinkering, especially when navigating difficult internal currents, brings me to the final segment. And today, depression feels like. And for anyone who knows the landscape of depression, we understand its unpredictable nature. It's not a static state. We often talk about how there's good days and bad days, and it can sometimes create an image of a tug-of-war, a constant battle where we're either winning or losing against the illness. But what if we shifted that perspective? What if instead of a tug-of-war, we viewed depression more like an ebb and a flow, like the tide, sometimes high and sometimes low, but always in motion, always changing. When we conceptualize it as a tug-of-war, there's an inherent sense of struggle, of a direct confrontation. We feel like we have to pull harder, fight more fiercely to win against the bad days. And this mindset can be exhausting and disheartening because the bad days inevitably return. It can lead to immense frustration when we feel like we're losing ground, or a false sense of security when we're on a good streak, only to be devastated when the tide turns yet again. But if we adopt this metaphor of an ebb and flow, it changes how we relate to our experience. It acknowledges the natural rhythm of life and the natural rhythm of our internal state. There will be peaks, days where energy is higher, mood is brighter, engagement is easier, and there will be valleys, days where the weight feels heavier, motivation is scarce, and the world seems a little bit duller. These shifts are often not a reflection of failure or success, but part of a dynamic, ongoing process. And this is where these tools that I've been discussing, like play, along with exercise and finding ways to socialize, really come into play. They're not magic cures that instantly win the tug of war. Instead, they are powerful aids that help us to navigate the ebb and flow with more gentleness. And they help us to manage these shifts as they occur. When the tide is out, when depression is in a deeper valley, engaging in a small act of tinkering, of play, whether it's making a weird sound or doodling in a notebook or tending to a houseplant, can provide a tiny spark of engagement, a moment of gentle distraction. It's not about making the sadness disappear, but about creating a small pocket of activity that's not tied to pressure or judgment. It reminds us that we can still interact with the world, even in small ways, and that we have the capacity for curiosity and creation, even when our energy is low. In the same way, exercise, even just a short walk, doesn't always magically lift the fog, but it can create a physical shift, a release of tension, a change in perspective that makes the valley feel a little less steep. This supports building resilience in the body, which subtly aids in the mind. It helps to regulate our nervous system, making those emotional surges or dips feel a little less overwhelming. And socializing, even brief, low-pressure interactions serve as a crucial anchor. When the tide of depression pulls us toward isolation, a quick text from a friend, a brief conversation at the coffee shop, or sharing a laugh with a loved one reminds us of our connection to others. We're not trying to force cheerfulness, but we are trying to maintain those threads of connection that can prevent us from being completely swept out. These interactions, no matter how small, can offer a gentle countercurrent, a reminder that we are part of a larger community. By consistently engaging with these tools, we're not fighting against the tide, we're learning to navigate it. We accept that the peaks and the valleys are inevitable, but we do our best to equip ourselves with strategies to make those transitions a little smoother, the dips less profound, and the climbs more attainable. We're building a toolkit for navigating our own internal states, our own internal weather. It's about fostering self-compassion, recognizing that sometimes simply staying afloat or making a small, gentle shift is a profound victory. And by doing so, the inevitable ebb and flow of depression can feel, with time and practice, more gentle, more predictable, and hopefully more manageable. If any of what we discussed today resonated with you, whether it's feeling that spark of curiosity about tinkering, recognizing your own need for play, or particularly if you're navigating the changing tides of your own mental health, please know with absolute certainty that you are not alone. These experiences in various forms are part of the human journey. Your feelings are real and they matter. If you are finding it hard to manage these feelings, talk to a trusted friend, talk to a family member, a mentor, or someone in your community. It can make a significant difference. And if you need more support, please consider seeking professional help. Therapists, counselors, and mental health professionals are equipped to provide support and strategies embracing the joy of tinkering, recognizing the power of play, and learning to navigate the natural ebbs and flows of our emotional lives. It's all part of the ongoing journey. We're in this together, finding our rhythm and figuring out how to make it through the storms and the struggles, recognizing the currents, both outside and inside. As always, I deeply value your time and your willingness to engage with these topics. Please reach out if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for the show. You can send me an email, finlos@finloslives.com. Find me on social media or check out the website at finloslives.com. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you found today's conversation valuable, I'd be incredibly grateful if you'd consider sharing the show with anyone in your network who might also find it helpful or interesting. Thank you again for being here with me today. Let's keep moving, let's keep thinking, and I look forward to our next conversation.